Training question, device biophilia tracker. Is it possible to measure DNA with the biophilia tracker device? Correct answer, it is possible. As indicated by the World Health Organization, the concept of bioresonance therapy, a form of holistic medicine in which electromagnetic waves are used to diagnose and treat human diseases. Therefore, according to the World Health Organization, bioresonance has the function of diagnosing and treating human and animal diseases. I'm going to copy this sentence here to place the translation. Here it is in English that mentions that it is used to diagnose and treat human and animal diseases. I'm going to place this here in French as well. It says to diagnose and treat human and animal diseases. Therefore, according to the World Health Organization, bioresonance does have a diagnostic function. And now, how does he make the diagnosis? Through the manipulation of endogenous electromagnetic oscillations. This is very important, the word endogenous. Why? Because it means that they belong to the person, it corresponds to the evaluation of the person, endogenous evaluation. But here there is also a very relevant word in the definition of the World Health Organization, that the evaluation corresponds to the physiological state of the patient, it corresponds to the physiological state of the patient. I am going to place it here in French corresponding to the physiological state of the patient, that is, to the organic elements of the body. Therefore, according to the World Health Organization, bioresonance can and does perform diagnostics. And now I am going to show in the list of elements if the biophilia tracker device has chromosomes in its analysis elements, therefore it has the possibility of measuring. We are going to take a measurement of a chromosome, for example chromosome 6. To make the measurement we have to click on Research above. Let's measure a chromosome. After the measurement is made, we go back and then enter here to the current analysis part to be able to see the measurement. This graph on the right, this blue line and this red line correspond to the measurement made by the Videofibria tracker device of chromosome number 6. If the sensor of the device is working correctly, if the software is well installed, if the computer is working well, if the sensor is placed on the patient's head and we make the proper record of the age, the sex of the person, if we measure this element, we can say that this graph on the right represents the evaluation of chromosome number 6 with the biophilia tracker device. This is a bioresonance measurement and is valid for bioresonance and is interpreted according to the parameters of bioresonance. The information that is on the left of this drawing is also very important to consider because it allows us to understand the area that is altered on the chromosome. And how can we do it? We go here where it says Tecto and then we go here. We can observe that there is a black square and here is the alteration. This is the area where it is altered, and to see what it means we have to place the mouse cursor on the arrow. We can see the meaning of the altered element and we can see it here as well. We can see that the Relationship: the meaning of this element. Now, we can continue to review the different elements. Also, within the bioresonance, we can say that this characteristic, this blue and red graph, corresponds to the evaluation of chromosome number 6 and that, for example, in column 8.2, the chromosome in this area is fine, it is balanced, in column 7.4 is also balanced, and the chromosome is also balanced. The maximum alteration is in this column, in this other column, in 3.4 and 1.8. And bioresonance therapy is aimed at achieving, after several sessions, that this blue line and this red line are parallel as in column 8.2. The goal of bioresonance therapy is to perform several sessions in order to bring these two lines together. The measurement of the patient in bioresonance is known as an object. This measurement that is here corresponds to the measurement of the patient. If we go up in proof, we can see that up here it says spectral similarity. Spectral similarity. This is very important to understand the word similar. I will explain. If I say similar to depression, I say it is similar to. This is another form of device information delivery input, but it has a different feature. I'm going to go back. This measurement is objective, there is no subjectivity here, and this is precise. If the software is working well and the sensor is working well and the measurement was made, there is no error here. It is as if we were in an airport and the radar manages to measure the presence of an airplane. We can say, we see the plane through the window, we see that it captured the plane and that the plane is represented on the screen, and we can say it's correct, it works well. Therefore, if the sensor works properly, the software is well installed, we can say that there is no error here. This is a correct measurement of the chromosome, but what is already a more statistical analysis of similarity is what we are going to click here and click here on show, and this list of pathologies is a comparative analysis, that is, it has a statistical validity of probabilities. Here we do not have 100% accuracy. I will explain. Object corresponds to the patient's measurement. Etalon corresponds to the electromagnetic characteristic of the pathology. Etalon corresponds to the characteristic of each pathology. If we go down, we find that each pathology has its own electromagnetic characteristic, and this stage of the evaluation is by similarity. By similarity, if we superimpose, we place the patient's information, which it is called an object. We can make a comparison, and this number that is on the left shows the degree of comparison, and if this was 0.000000, we can say that statistically there is no difference, that there is a high similarity, it is very similar, therefore this evaluation is a bioresonance evaluation where it is necessary to make an observation column by column. If the number reaches 0.000, it means that there is no difference, and if the comparison of the curves is exactly the same, if the curve of the object is exactly the same as the curve, I will explain like this. If the curve of the object It is exactly the same as the curve of the etalon, so we have a high probability of similarity, but this does not mean we cannot conclude that with 100% accuracy, and if we want to take advantage of the software to have greater clarity on how to make an adequate analysis, it corresponds. The entropy analysis function. I'm going to show the entropy analysis function now. For example, if we select the pathology goiter, then we click on entropy analysis, we observe that it appears in 0.6, then we place up here, click on object, and with this the patient's information is superimposed, comparing it with the information of the pathology, and here we see that the superposition. From the patient's curve with the pathology curve was selected on step number 7, which corresponds to the maximum presence of the disease in its maturity, in its development, in the development of the pathology. If the answer had been 1, if the highlighted number had been down here at 1, 1 is absence of disease. These numbers gradually show how goiter pathology presents itself to its maximum expression. Therefore, in this case we have that it corresponds to the number 7. That is, there is a resemblance, and we can observe that this resemblance occurs mainly in this part. We click up here and we can hear, at this time it doesn't show a single item, but it's in the thyroid gland where the patient's information is presented. It is very similar to the information of the pathology when it is already at its degree of maturity. Therefore, they are possibilities of analysis that we can have. I'm going to do another sinusitis example, and we're going to apply entropy analysis, and it also appears up here. We're going to click on output, and now I'm going to click on autoscan to select all the pathologies, and that way look for some that are ruled out. That they are discarded according to the analysis of the software. We're going to go up and then we start going down, and the ones that are at 1 are discarded. We are going to continue to go down, and here, for example, this pathology is at 1 and is ruled out. We continue to go down, we are going to look for another, cystitis. For example, we are going to click here on entropy analysis, and we observe that the curve of cystitis, which is this one that is here, standing out at number 1, is the absence of disease. But if it had the patient's curve was similar to this curve, then we would be with a higher probability. Therefore, entropy analysis allows me to compare the patient's information about the disease, compare it if the information about the disease is or is not found on the chromosome, but as it says here it is similar. Now, if we take one of these pathologies such as laryngitis and perform the Vegetou test, this is a much more accurate measurement. Why? I will explain. This measurement measures the entirety of the aura of the chromosome, it measures the entirety of the aura. Everything you have of all the pathologies, of all the alterations, here is in this measurement, all the elements considered from toxins, allergies, microorganisms, is this curve represents the complete measurement of the chromosome. But if we perform the test, select one of these pathologies and perform the Vegetou test, we will to send the disease signal to the chromosome, and we will see the response, and this measurement is much more accurate. I am going to perform the vegetotest. Look at the difference, and now we are going to do the comparative analysis. How can we interpret this? That in this patient the information of the goiter shows that the electromagnetic characteristic of the goiter is generating a high alteration in this chromosome. Therefore, in the person, that is, this is a response made with the patient live, with the living person. The patient is alive in front of us. It is very different from the evaluation that is carried out, for example, the evaluation of a hospital doctor. We take a hair sample, for example, we take it from the person's body, we send it to a laboratory or a urine sample where it is analyzed with laboratory equipment that many times heat is applied to this sample, they are divided into smaller parts and then a measurement is made. Therefore, if we take a part of a person, take it out of the person's body and take it somewhere else, we can understand that it is different. Because bioresonance considers the person as a totality. And I'm going to show it up here by showing that it says that bioresonance is considered holistic medicine. And holistic medicine considers the person as a whole, therefore the examination of the chromosome and DNA that is carried out with the tracker device is a measurement of the chromosome but when the person is alive. It is very different from the test if we take a part of the person's body and take it somewhere else. We transport a hair, urine or saliva to another place where the sample is destroyed to analyze the sample. That is, the person is not demonstrated, they are not returned. The urine sample, neither hair nor saliva, but in order to analyze it is destroyed. In bioresonance nothing is destroyed. That is, to make the evaluation, the patient alive is in front of us and, therefore, what we are measuring, this is something objective. Or here there is no subjectivity and there is no error from the point of view of what we have just done. We take the electromagnetic characteristic of the pathology, send it to the patient, and then measure the response. The answer we are talking about measuring the response with the sensor of the device and this response that we find, this response is something objective where it shows improvement and worsening. If we click on worsening, this is not a subjectivity here, we are not interpreting, but it is an evaluation of bioresonance. It means that the pathology of the buceus, the electromagnetic characteristic of the pathology can generate damage in this part of the chromosome and therefore, what is the use of the biophilia tracker device? Act as a preventive complementary therapy. By treating the DNA and chromosome, we are taking advantage of the benefit of bioresonance as a preventive therapy in relation to thyroid pathologies. And as a recommendation, it is always recommended that the patient first go to a preventive medical center, undergo the evaluation and then consult bioresonance therapy. Doing it the other way around is not recommended. Why? Because some health authorities warn the population of the risk of delaying medical treatment when going to complementary therapies. Therefore, if you are using this device, I recommend first of all that you go to a doctor for a preventive examination, since this examination is different from a medical examination, may coincide with the medical examination, but it may also be different. And the important thing is not to delay the medical evaluation and understand that this is an objective evaluation. What we are seeing here blinking is that the information of the goiter generates damage in this person, in those elements of the chromosome, and what is something subjective. This is subjective what we have here because this number that is on the left is called a spectral similarity index, and it is a statistical analysis that shows similarity probabilities but does not show information of 100%. The information of 100% this is a objective measurement. There is no interpretation here. This is objective in patient measurement and the VEGA2 test, which is a specific test. We can see that in this person the recommendation is to carry out a complete treatment of the endocrine system. He gave this answer to a student of the Biophilia Tracker course. This answer is delivered to a question asked by one of my students in a training process.